Staying with Women's Day, it's been 65 years since that historic Women's March to the Union Buildings. In 1956, women marched to Pretoria protesting against apartheid pass laws. Today, women still face other challenges, as you would have heard, of course, from Barry, in society, including equality. Now, this year's theme is Generation Equality, realizing women's rights for an equal future. Government has also declared 2021 as the year of Charlotte Manyamaxege, marking the 150th anniversary of the birth of the social and political activist. It links South Africa to a global campaign to achieve gender equality by 2030. ENCA's Celine Loguhle Masigane joins us now, of course, to discuss this. A very good afternoon to you, Slee. So what exactly have there been that has been discussed there where you are?
You must record exactly what we've said, and it must be communicated.
Slee, I don't know if you can hear me. I was just asking what is just being discussed where you are there.
To relevant people of South Africa, to relevant people who
Morena, if you can hear me, I'm losing connection to you, but we are here at the Union Buildings where we are seeing a commemorative event taking place. And earlier on I was speaking to a number of women outside the buildings. You know, the significance of actually being here today, the very place in which we saw that historic march to this particular destination where thousands of women came in their numbers to say that they are, you know, fighting against apartheid as well as the pass laws of the time. But women outside the building, you know, some of the informal traders I spoke to, really speaking to the issues around the COVID-19 pandemic, the effect on their businesses. Many women in this country are breadwinners, and so we know that the pandemic has certainly affected the manner in which they can provide for their families. And the one woman I spoke to is a single mother working outside these buildings, saying at times she can go home without having made even one sale. But let's just take a listen to what she had to say to me in terms of some relief she's seeking from government.
Asking them at least to do something for us. Like, for instance, since last year March, we were not working at all. We are not getting, there's no grant that we are getting. There's nothing that we are getting. They closed the borders, and then we have nothing to survive.
Yeah. So
yes.
Something to help you, a grant of some sort.
Yes, I think maybe they must give us. Isn't we are selling here at Union Buildings, we are paying the rent at the informal traders' offices, but if there's a crisis like this, there's nothing that we are getting. So we don't know where to go, we don't know who to ask. We just come here and then we go home without anything.
They face a lot, especially in 2021. So the struggle and the march that happened in 1956 essentially is just a different kind of struggle in 2021 for the young women of today. What are they saying?
Certainly so. I think the message today overall is that the struggle continues. We know that the women of 1956 were fighting against pass laws, but the fight now continues towards economic emancipation and towards gender-based violence. But what we continuously see is that women are still having to fight the effects of patriarchy. And what we're hearing from young women is that we need to see more women in leadership positions. Let's take a listen.
We need to have a message to young women and to young men, because remember, as young women, we are the victims of the system, you know, and the perpetrators. So if we only speak to us, or we speak to ourselves, we're not solving the problem. So one, I think we need to continue fighting, and we must continue fighting. So the struggle must continue. The struggle for a non-sexist, non-racial, united and prosperous South Africa must continue. But also we need to have conversations with the young men in our spaces to make them understand that they continue to benefit from a system that is inherently discriminatory towards us, and we can only coexist when we both understand what the conditions of that particular system bring for both genders.
Let's just talk about the events that have happened there at the Union Buildings. Of course, we've been hearing things still going on. We're seeing, of course, ANC Women's League, members that have been going around and essentially pushing the events that are happening there. But what exactly has been unfolding?
Really some tough words, I must say, from a number of the speeches that we've heard from the members of the Women's League. But I'm joined by the president, Ms. Bathabile Dlamini, just to give us a sense of the message today. Mama, I was listening to your speech quite attentively, and you spoke a lot about women in leadership, about fighting against women in particular in your movement being used to garner votes, to buy conferences. Why is it so important? Why is the Women's League pushing so hard for a woman president?
We are pushing so hard for a woman president because the whole country needs a woman president who's going to ensure that we go through a process of calmness. There is a lot of noise in South Africa, and people have many challenges and demands, and we believe that a woman will be able to listen to communities and will be able to fight poverty through a radical economic transformation program of the ANC.
Mama, some would say if you as women within the ANC yourselves cannot transform the party itself to have more women in leadership, then how is a woman president going to do that?
A woman president will not come from ANC women only. We have to meet with all women from all the sectors, and they must all be convinced, so that women that are in the ANC also get convinced. We are more women in the ANC, but always when it's conferences, we tend to support men, because we would say, no, I am part of the mandate of the province or the region, and forget that you are a woman and you are put where you are by women and you represent a woman. So we must always know that we are where we are elected to the positions we occupy because of women.
Lastly, we're hopefully going into local government elections. If not this year, then next year. You're pushing for women to stand to be elected, to take up that nomination. But what about the issue about conferences being bought and women being used in these conferences?
The ANC has said for the future that must not happen. And the ANC leadership must not say things by word of mouth. There must be action, and there must be consistency. We want firstly action on people that killed a woman in the Western Cape. We want action where women have been asked not to stand as ward councillors. The ANC must lead by example and act on those ones, because if they don't act, they are subtly pushing women away. Women are going to be afraid to stand for elections. But also women themselves must understand that this is the struggle, and we have to ensure that we win this one.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. That is the president of the ANC Women's League, as you can see, vying for women to really take up those leadership positions and understand that there could be a price to pay when it comes to that, but that the struggle must continue, and that women must not back down in terms of occupying space.
All right. Siyabonga Mkhabela. Of course, that is Silindelo Masiga, our reporter, who is coming to us from the Union Building. She was speaking there, of course, with the ANC Women's League's leader, Bathabile Dlamini. Now